You said you went out to shoot a lot of the stuff after because you found the track after.
Yeah.
So like with everything, the idea of it, because it wasn't the music, where did the idea come from?
There was zero idea. I knew I just wanted to shoot in the foggy day, and I was like, "Let me put on some clothes that will be cool, and, like, pop in this
Yeah.
kinda, like, this environment." There was, like, a couple things I tried that day. One was just, like, standing in a bunch of different places. I've done, like, masking stuff before, so I knew that, like, "Okay, let me see what that looks like." There's so much stuff that I shot in addition to this that I didn't use, but
For real.
yeah, oh yeah, there was tons of stuff. I just, like, piecemealed a couple things together, but the other thing I knew I wanted to try was, like that I actually didn't even use as well, was, like, this, like, falling from the sky thing. So I shot some stuff in, like, 120 of me jumping and, like, throwing my body up and doing all this stuff, and I had an idea that I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna try to do this floating thing," and, a couple of different things, but there really, really, truly was no intention behind this video until after I heard the song and I started piecing things together, and I was like, "Let's just make something interesting."
So even like the cloning and masking, all that stuff, you didn't even know. You're just like, you know
That I
what? Let me.
knew that, like, I didn't know where it would fit in the video or if it needed to go in the video, but I was like, at the very least, if I have these pieces to work with, like these little pieces of the recipe, then I know that I could make something interesting, but I wasn't necessarily sure how I was gonna use it at the time.
With the visual effects, like the feels like electricity and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Did that just so happen to be because you were kind of like at these power lines or like,
Yes.
ah,
I wanna learn how to do more visual effects. I was looking at this and I was like, "Man, I would be if some of this stuff was, like, affecting me," you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
it'd
yeah.
be
The
super
power
cool.
ups, power ups.
Yes, yes, and then there was that sign that was like danger, electrical current or something
Yeah.
like that, that I was like, "Okay, okay. I can't show this sign and not have some kind of electricity," you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
doing
yeah.
something there.
Fits a vibe for
Yeah.
sure.
The only thing I would say that was specific call out, like, while we were shooting that I knew was this like, this piano and the stairs.
On the stairs. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I was like, "It's got this crazy piano piece," and I had this idea that, like, if we just move around on these stairs originally, it was just, like, moving in order, you know what I mean? Like, just kinda getting down a stair and him going up a stair, but then I was like, "Oh, you can kinda just move these around and it feels a little bit more interesting."
It does because it's like your eyes almost can't follow it,
Yep.
but like you get it, like the vibe. This first initial mask, did you know all this stuff before or is
No.
this stuff, yeah,
That's
some of
just
the
play,
most.
play, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
messing
yeah,
around
yeah.
and seeing, like, what looks interesting, and I would like this to look even more interesting, and so I just tried something, and it was like, "Oh, I can't achieve what I was trying to do at the time, but let's just see what, expanding this mask does and putting this frame behind it," and I was like, "Okay, this kinda looks cool. I'll
Yeah,
dig it,"
yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
How often do you guys go out and shoot?
Not as often as we used to. So last year, I would say around January, February, my homie De Guzman, he was like, "Yo, um, I want to I wanna start making, like, social media content," and I was like, "Bro, I wanna start making social media."
You read
Me
my
too.
mind.
Yeah, yeah, and he was like, "Man, alright, well," he's like, "I don't really like doing it alone, so, like, if you're down, I'm down," and I was like, "Okay, this is perfect. This is the exact push I needed to, like,
Ah,
start making stuff," so I was super duper happy about it, and I was like, "Let's start making stuff," so we just, like, scheduled, like, content days where we just go out and start shooting stuff, and at the time, like, the content was looking way different than it is now, like, 1 year ago. Like, 1 year
yeah.
ago, it was, like, a lot of trending audio, like, "Can I call you Rose?" Like, all those different,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
songs,
yeah.
so we just went and saved a bunch of the audios, and we're like, "Okay, let's make stuff to this audio," and then, it was a lot more basic. It was like, walk up into frame, hold your camera up, and then show an image of a picture you took or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
we
yeah.
were doing stuff like that, and then I think we spent, like, a whole day doing stuff like that, and then at the end of the day, I have this, like, Tokina 11 to 16, and I threw that on, and at the time, I was using, my Blackmagic 6K. So, that's a big fat ass camera with that, like, runs through your battery so fast, and it's not ideal for, like, social content or just, like,
Yeah, yeah,
running
yeah, yeah.
around. But I threw that lens on there, and he was like, "Dude, this is the funnest." We spent like an hour and a half just doing that stuff, and it was like way more fun than the entire day. So we were like, yeah, high energy stuff is a blast. So
Yeah, I feel
yeah.
like, oh man, that's dope. And this is your boy that you have a production company with, right? That you
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
started.
yes. Yep,
See,
yep.
so
He's
it's like
in
it
Squad.
almost is like comes full circle. It's like, yo, remember when we used to do this? Like link up and just film stuff for the hell of it? Like,
Dude,
you know
yes.
what I mean? I feel like
Yeah.
that's like the dopest
It
stuff.
is, man, because like, that's the whole thing is, like, that when you get started, there's no client, right? So it's just like, "What can I do? How
Free
far can I
reign.
take it? What's possible?" kind of thing, and at some point, this became my main source of income, and at that point, it was like client, client, client. There's not as much experimentation, there's not as much, like, "Where can I take this?" And it's more so, like, "Where am I gonna get my next check from?"
Yeah, yeah.
And it takes the fun out of it a bit. So getting back to this has been extremely refreshing, and it's just been
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I love this all over
Yeah,
again."
yeah, you're
Yeah.
like, "Man, I fell in love with you again," like, this
Yep.
video stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Nah,
yeah.
I get it, I get it. Huge announcement, Uppbeat has just added motion graphics to their website. They're the sponsor of this episode and the whole podcast season. So they've added things like overlays, animations, templates. You can use them in DaVinci, Premiere, After Effects, or just drag and drop. So if you guys are like me and aren't that skilled in the visual graphics, motion graphics department, be sure to sign up for free. Link is in my bio or the pinned comment. I actually use a lot of their stuff in these episodes, anywhere from the film burns to the subscribe buttons. Go check it out and don't forget to subscribe. All right, let's get on with the episode. The idea, where does the idea come from?
This was another one of those, just go out and shoot
Yeah,
some stuff, man.
I like it. I
You
like
know
it, bro. I like
you
it.
know what I mean? Like,
You're like, yo, there's enough leaves right now.
yeah,
Oh, that's about to get
exactly.
raked.
Yo, these motherfuckers is about to get raked up. Like, I got some yard work to do, and I need to make some content. Like, I might as well bring the camera out. You know
We're
what I
getting
mean?
older. We got responsibilities. Let me like, dude.
Exactly.
No, I
Exactly.
like it. Yo,
Yeah,
that's
so
hilarious. No, I
it
like that. It doesn't even need to be a big thing. I was just like, okay, where did this idea? I like that it's even like that. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Sometimes, like, the thing that I have realized is you can find stuff in the edit. You find it in the edit. It's
mm,
amazing when you go in with intention and you have purpose and like everything comes together. Sometimes that could be discouraging because when you have a very specific vision and then you go try to execute and it doesn't look like what you had in your head, you could be like, damn, like this ain't it. And people can still love it. But you, because you knew what it looked like prior to going into it, you kind of like have this love-hate relationship with it.
yeah, yeah.
So sometimes it's nice to just like go out, shoot some stuff, get some content, and then be like, where can I go with this? Where like let's shape this in the edit.
Yeah, finding it in the edit is great that not a lot of people really talk about. Like, it's kind of getting lost in it, and then you're like, oh, I could do this. What about
Yeah.
this? What about
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
This shot, were you looking at it and being like, let me just come in and out of this light and just hit this like just perfectly?
Yup, yup. I recently copped these, they're called like TP Max. They're like these Teradecs video transmission for like a monitor, and they're like $100. And I've never seen like a Teradek kind of thing for $100. And I copped this thing because I was like shooting, same thing, shooting alone and not knowing if something's in focus because I've been
Yeah.
using autofocus for some of this stuff.
And
And
sometimes it doesn't cat like if you're doing a lot. I can only assume with these leaves, it's kind of crazy, especially if you're trying to
yes,
do that.
yes,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's nothing worse than, like, feeling like you got a shot and then going to look back at it and it's out of focus as hell, and you're just
Yeah.
like, "Damn." So I had to I was like, "You know what? Let's spend this $100, get this little video transmission system." So I have it, like, on the floor in front of me, in front of the like, out of frame, so
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
see exactly where the light was and make sure that I was, like, making sure that hit.
This shot too. Where is this? And what am I like looking at? Because I was like trying to figure it out. I was like, did he put it like is it something on the lens? Why does
I
it look like
just
this?
took a pile of leaves and then shoved the cameras, like, deep in there and then just started moving leaves little by little to create a little bit of a gap to
Oh.
then kinda get that shot, that POV
Yeah, it's
from
so
inside.
interesting because like that little piece on top too. I was like, did he mirror this top part or like do something with it? Nah. Oh, also like I want to ask the choice in pink or purple colored text. It's like
Yeah.
perfect. Why did you choose this color?
Part of it has to do with the shirt I'm wearing. In the, like, the growth shot, there's,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
a
yeah,
little
yeah.
bit of that color from it, but what I do is I don't like white, or excuse me, for text specifically.
Was
Unless
there a
it's, like,
reason?
glowing, sometimes it's cool, but, like,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah,
most
yeah.
part, I like to make it, like, slightly off-white, like eggshell or something like that.
Yeah.
And I use that all over and over and over and over again. It's basically, like, orangish yellow, but then, like, dragged into a pastel area of that color,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it looks good, it looks really nice, and so I was like, "Oh, let me what if I turn this like green or pink or something, and kept it in that same pastel area. And I love Tyler the Creator, and like this gives me like a Tyler vibe for sure,
Ah,
for sure. So I was like, I'm gonna lean into it. Cause like even in the beginning, I go with like a crazy strong red. That's usually where I'm living. I'm living in
that
like,
bold red. Yeah,
full
yeah,
saturation kind of things. So this was
yeah.
a nice little bit of a different vibe for sure.
The leaf shot. Just getting into this. Is this
Yup. You exactly that. I did it like 100 times, and I wear glasses. I wear glasses, by the way. I'm wearing contacts right now, but I was, like, all out of contacts, so I couldn't see shit,
Yo,
and I
what?
was
You're
like,
nuts. Having to run the focus doing some of this stuff.
"Bro, this is one of those moments, man, where I was stressed out," and I did this, like, a million times. I threw it up, put it at 120, laid down, and I had, like, a twig hit me, like, dead in the eye a couple of times, and I had so much, like, leaf debris in my eyes after this. I was like, "I hope one of these works, man, for real."
So do you storyboard any of this stuff? Or nah, you
Nah,
just
I not really. I'm not really good at storyboarding, I'm not gonna lie to you.
yeah.
When it comes to, like, making, like, music videos and stuff, I will frame set a bunch of stuff and, like, kinda create a storyboard via, shots from movies or like,
Yeah.
figure out the frame. Because I'm like, not that you have to be good at drawing. Obviously, everybody who does it says that they just use like draw stick figures and stuff like that. But
Yeah, yeah,
my
yeah.
mind doesn't always work that well when it comes to like creating an image that I want to see. I'm much better with like inspiration or reference material.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
It
I'll
gets
usually
worse
just
if you do it yourself. You're like,
yeah,
"Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
it's
more
like and then
confused
you get
now."
the shot and it's like, "This looks like the stick this looks like that drawing, bro, like, what is this?"
You don't get
Yep.
anything. You're like, "Alright, well, I guess."
Yeah, yes. I've seen a couple of things, recently where folks just talk about, like, for every wide shot, get 2 detail shots or get 2 close-ups. The lens I'm using, I use a 35 mil G Master, and that lens, like its sweet spot is when you're, like, fairly close to something. So I'm like, when I get wide shots, they're cool, but, like, I need to make sure either something's in the foreground that is out of focus, or I need to go in and make sure I get those closies.
So for this, is this just, "Okay, yo, I'm gonna stop on the dime and, like, this hopefully this autofocus catches it," type
Yeah,
of
this
thing?
was a pain in the ass moment. This definitely took a lot of tries. This is an electric bike, and what I realized is if I keep my foot at the exact same space, don't pedal, but just like use the throttle to like move forward, and then I put like some stuff on the ground, like a stick or a twig on the
So you know
ground to
where
know
to
like
stop on the dime.
my wheel has to be here if I want my shoe to be in the frame kind of thing. I got lucky with, like, the focus pull, for sure, for sure. That was not planned at all. I got real lucky with the fact that it pulled to focus and then, like, I was able to take off. It was shot,
Wow.
like 20 times trying to make sure I get it right. And then I have my monitor. Once again, it's hard to see sometimes, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
always use a monitor. The little screen on the camera just doesn't do it for me. It doesn't give me the full effect of what's possible. Unless I have to go that route, I won't. I always slap a monitor on there. So I was able to see semi decently if I was like hitting that mark. But then I was just like, let me just do this like 20 times to be sure.
And are you shooting these, 16 by 9 or are you going 9 by 60, like, vertical?
I'm going 9 by 16, yeah, for sure.
Wow,
I
okay.
did shoot a lot of stuff 16 by 9 in the past, but have realized that, it looks a lot better when you shoot it 9 by
Yeah, when you're
16. Yeah.
framing before
Yeah,
I
yeah.
used to just, like, crop everything, but yeah,
Yep, yep,
for
yep,
sure, for
yep.
sure. The location and stuff, like, where did you even get this? Oh, did you know you wanted to shoot in this spot? Were you on set and you're like, "Yo, I gotta shoot something here," or, like,
That was it. That was
you're
it.
on
That was
set
it.
shooting something else and you're like,
Yes.
I gotta take one for me"?
Yep, yep. Like, literally, the homie, her name's Gracie, G Code Films, she says, "Oh my god, side quest video turned out amazing." Because I was on her set. She was directing a commercial for Adobe, and I was just the BTS guy. I was just shooting BTS on
Oh,
her set, and I was like, "I gotta go to the bathroom." I went to the bathroom, I was like, "What the fuck? This is the rawest bathroom I've ever seen in my life, bro." I was like, "This looks crazy." I was like, "If I don't make something in here, like,
bro, you're running outside grabbing your
shame on me."
camera?
Yeah, I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
hey, 10-2, 10-2, I gotta go to the bathroom, yo."
No one come
Once I
inside.
got there, I was like, "I need to capitalize on this
Ah,
location. I don't know when the next time I'm gonna be here is. I'm not about to rent this space out again soon." So, it was like,
yeah.
make something. And honestly, even, like, the color is drastically different than it looks in camera.
Oh, for
It was,
real?
like, super duper blue and pink. I just started, like, coloring in DaVinci, so I was able to, like, start to really peel things away and, like, make it look different. when you shoot RGB sometimes, like when you shoot with a super duper strong pink light or blue light, sometimes it just looks real whack. Like
Yeah,
it could
yeah.
be cool in like, in the vision, like to see with your eyes, it looks really cool. But when you see it on camera, it could be real strong and like not look fire. So that was kind of like what this was looking like. And I was like, man, let me see where I can pull this. And I pulled it in some directions that I got happy with. And I was like, this feels good. It feels gritty. A lot of my stuff is not planned. I was like, dude, what am I gonna do in this space? There's a toilet here. I'm not gonna go to the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
I'm not,
Look at
I
this
can't act like,
storyline.
yeah, right? Like I can't do that. So I was like, maybe I'll just act like I'm throwing something up. Like I don't know. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
feels way more interesting than like, taking a deuce or something. So I was like, yeah, so I was like, maybe just do that, and then, I didn't know I was gonna glitch anything. Once again, that was kinda found in the edit. Then it was like, how can I make it more interesting? Let's add some glitchy effects in there. I ended up enhancing it a bit by, like, adding the sound effects of, like, a toilet flushing or the water running, and then chopping the sound effect too to match, like, the glitch, and I was like, "Oh, this feels pretty decent. Okay, cool. This feels good."
Yeah, finding it in the edit, you
Yeah.
know?
Hey yo, check this out.
The idea of this, it feels very unique. How was the process from idea to actually the end product?
This one definitely was, like, the only idea, like, well thought idea or creative idea I had when I was in New York at the time. I knew I wanted to shoot, content. I was out there to shoot a couple of music videos at the time. I need to shoot New York content while I'm in New York, and a couple of the things I shot were just, postcard images of just, like, a still frame that kinda looked interesting. I was with my homie De Guzman, and we were in the hotel, and I was like, I need to think of something that's interesting. Don't know why, but I thought, what if I slap this street sign and change it from day to night? Like that seems cool. That seems like it could be cool. And so we went out filming, and this was kind of like after we finished our music video. We had some time to kill. We were by this, I think it's the Manhattan Bridge, and I was like, this seems like, it's not the perfect space. It's not the best composition is possible, but I was like, I need to get this idea off. So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna let's start this process. So I set up the camera, and literally there was like a bunch of like old gum on the floor that had been like, you know, heated by the sun, and now it's just like stuck on the ground. And I was like, I'm gonna put my tripod legs right by this piece of gum and that piece of gum. So that way we can try to, match this composition, match this frame as good as possible. And then I
Ah.
was like, all right, cool, let's roll it, slap the sign. We went and got dinner a couple blocks away, and then came back for like the dusk shot. Found those pieces of gum, put the thing back. I have a small HD monitor, and one thing I love about the small HD monitor is you can do this image recall thing where you like snap an image
And then
of
it
your
almost
previous
like
frame
it's over. Yeah.
and you overlay it. So I was able to use that to try to get it as close as possible. And it's not perfect, but it worked. So I wasn't crazy about it. Like I actually sat on this for a little while because I was like, oh, the color doesn't look as great as I want to. The composition doesn't look as great as I want to. So I kind of just like sat with it for a little while. And then one day I was just like, I need something to edit. So I started playing with this. The idea came to like, maybe if I make it feel like a phone shot, it won't be as critical in my head of like, oh, this is shot on a good camera and it just doesn't look as good as how I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So I threw the little phone overlay on there. All the audio is ADR, it's all done after the fact. So I was like, what if I made this feel like a gimmick or like, hey, bro, you want to see this cool thing I can do? And so I was literally in this room like, yo, check this out, dog. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he
Then you
recorded for me, and then I was like, "Oh, cool. This feels good." And then I was like, "Oh, I gotta like holler something from across the way because I did not. I just kept walking. There was no talking in the actual shop, so I went outside of my house and I took the microphone and I put it like like
same kind of
20 feet away from
distance.
me.
Yeah,
Yep, and I
roughly.
was like, "Hey, yo, can you cut it, bro?" And I was like, "Okay, now with the audio and these words and then adding, like, the little snap and all this stuff, now this feels good to me." And so I was excited about it. I was like, "Okay, I can share this. I feel good about it
What?
now."
That is actually so dope. Oh man. And then adding like that the little switch at the top.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about it. I wasn't sure if it was corny, which I mean, part of me thought it was, but at the same time, I was like, this little day for night or like dark mode kind of thing, it feels good. I was looking them up on YouTube because I just was like, dark mode, green screen kind of thing on YouTube, and I found this one. This feels kind of cool, so I slapped it up there,
Yeah, no, I
and
like
it
it.
worked out.
When you say like finding it in the edit, like it literally is like, you did all this stuff, you didn't like it, and all of a sudden you start putting the puzzle pieces together and you're like, oh, no, now this is like, and then you want to go the extra mile. Like, yo, let me
Yes.
record something at the other end.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
let me
yeah.
put my mic here. Ah, that is dope.
Yeah, I learned not to discount stuff because you can layer cake stuff up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just throw some layers on there and the
Yeah,
audio and
absolutely.
this piece that's moving from night mode to dark mode. Like, and when you start to layer stuff, it starts to feel like if you can't control the shot that you got, you can control other things. And so, sound design is one of the things that I like really, really, really am into and I enjoy. People talk about all the time. You could have an okay looking image, but if you have some really great audio or really great sound, like you can close your eyes and listen and it can feel good enough without even seeing a visual. So if you can kind of get the audio up to a place that it needs to be, then everything else could potentially fall into place. One thing I've recognized a couple years back was like in the music video like world was like I need to make something that impresses myself. I need to quit worrying about impressing other people because like I used to want to impress the artist I was working with. And like I said so many times that is the taste is different. So they're just like, this is cool, but like and I was like, all right, if I can impress myself because I feel like I've come to have a decent taste where I'm like if I like it, somebody's gotta like this. That's the goal, and then I just started reading this book by Rick Rubin,
Creative
called
act.
The Creative Act. Yeah, yeah, I
I'm
love
starting
it.
to read that too.
Dude,
Like
so
legit.
many
Yeah.
gems, so many refreshing moments, but he definitely talks about that. He's like, "The artwork comes first, you come second, the audience comes
Audience.
last." Yeah, 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 yeah.
You always got to
So,
remember that. You
yep.
always got to remember that. If you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast, I think you guys would like this episode. Go check it out.